William Shatner's Kirk and Leonard Nimoy's Spock acting out of character is why this Star Trek, the original series episode, is great. By your name. In a franchise rooted in logic, duty, and consistency, few things are more compelling than watching its most iconic characters throw all of that out the airlock. Star Trek, the original series, built its reputation on memorable characters and moral storytelling. Captain James T. Kirk and Commander Spock became pop culture icons not just because of their spacefaring exploits, but because of their unwavering identities. Kirk, the impulsive but idealistic leader. Spock, the coldly rational half-Vulcan who often denied his human side. But occasionally Star Trek gave us something completely different, and in doing so, elevated itself from sci-fi television to transcendent drama. One such moment came in the unforgettable Season 1 episode, The Naked Time. This story isn't just great despite Kirk and Spock acting out of character, it's great because they do. In allowing William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy to step outside the strict confines of their roles, the episode reveals more about who these characters are beneath the uniforms than any straightforward mission ever could. It turns a routine planetary survey into a window into the fragile psyches of two legends of the final frontier. The premise: emotions run wild in the final frontier. In The Naked Time, the USS Enterprise investigates the mysterious deaths of a science team on the frozen planet Psi 2000. The crew finds that the scientists died behaving irrationally, with no sign of a struggle. It doesn't take long before the crew themselves start to lose control, infected by a strange, waterborne contagion that strips away inhibitions and exposes buried emotions. On the surface, this premise could have been played for cheap laughs. And at times it is. Sulu famously runs through the corridors shirtless, wielding a fencing foil, imagining himself a swashbuckling musketeer. Another crewman sobs uncontrollably over long-lost love. But for Kirk and Spock, the core duo of Star Trek, the original series, the virus leads to something deeper, something raw. It brings us into contact with their fears, longings, and emotional weaknesses in ways that would never be possible in the rigid structure of Starfleet life. Kirk, the weight of command. Captain Kirk is often portrayed as a larger-than-life figure. Confident, charming, and decisive, he embodies the very ideal of what Starfleet wants in a leader. But in The Naked Time, William Shatner delivers a performance that pulls the curtain back. Kirk becomes tormented by the emotional cost of his position. Under the virus's influence, he confesses his isolation, his longing for love, and his sense of entrapment by duty. The moment is powerfully vulnerable. "I can't lose her," Kirk says, referring not to a woman but to the Enterprise itself, the only love he allows himself. "She's all I have." The virus reveals that Kirk's greatest strength, his devotion to his ship and his mission, is also his greatest burden. Shatner's performance, often parodied for its theatricality, becomes here a tool to undo Kirk's inner torment. The pauses, the exaggerated emotion, the sudden shifts in tone, they all serve a man at the breaking point. Instead of weakening Kirk as a character, this out-of-character behavior deepens him. It reframes his bravado and womanizing tendencies as masks, shields against the emotional isolation that comes with the captain's chair. For once, we're not watching Captain Kirk, the Starfleet hero. We're watching Jim Kirk, the man who sacrificed everything for duty. It's haunting, and it makes his eventual recovery feel like a heroic act in itself. Spock, the battle within. If Kirk's breakdown is about love and leadership, Spock's is about identity. For a character whose entire persona is built on control and emotional suppression, the virus's effects on Spock are catastrophic and unforgettable. When the infection takes hold, Spock begins to crumble from within. Leonard Nimoy gives a masterclass in restrained emotional chaos. At first, Spock tries to continue his duties, but it becomes clear that he is battling an overwhelming internal storm. His voice trembles. His hands shake. He finally retreats to a darkened room and breaks down in tears. It's one of the most iconic moments in Star Trek history, and not just because it's surprising to see Spock cry. It's powerful because it makes sense. This isn't just a gimmick, it's the logical consequence of years of repression and inner conflict. Spock's half-human, half-Vulcan heritage has always been a source of tension, and The Naked Time brings it to the surface in the most brutal, honest way. Spock sobs that he is ashamed and that he cannot allow himself to feel. The audience sees that beneath the veneer of logic is a soul in constant torment. His pain isn't about losing control, it's about being unable to reconcile the two halves of his being. And that is what makes his character arc in the series so resonant. His journey isn't to become more human or more Vulcan, but to integrate both. This episode allows Nimoy to stretch beyond the stoic calmness we usually associate with Spock. It lets him show emotion, and ironically, makes him more relatable and more heroic in doing so. Because it's not just about vulnerability. It's about the strength required to return to duty after such a breakdown. That Spock can regain control after being emotionally shattered speaks volumes about his inner fortitude. A rare glimpse of truth. Episodes like The Naked Time are rare in genre television, especially in the 1960s. It would have been easy and safe for Star Trek to maintain its characters in their familiar forms. After all, the show already had a unique premise and bold themes. It didn't need to peel back the layers of its main characters. But it chose to, and in doing so, created one of the most emotionally honest episodes of the series. This honesty is why the episode remains beloved. Fans don't just watch Star Trek for space battles and alien diplomacy. They watch for character. And The Naked Time gives us character in abundance, raw, exposed, and unfiltered. We see the cracks in the armor, and rather than weakening our respect for Kirk and Spock, it reinforces it. Their greatness isn't in their perfection. It's in their struggle. It also allows for a rare kind of drama that's less about external conflict and more about internal stakes. The threat isn't a Klingon battlecruiser or a Romulan spy, it's the self. The enemy is within. And that kind of storytelling resonates universally. We all wear masks. We all suppress fears. The Naked Time holds up a mirror to that through the lens of two of science fiction's greatest characters. A blueprint for future Trek, The Naked Time didn't just succeed on its own terms, it also set a precedent for future Star Trek series. Episodes where characters step out of their usual roles, like TNG's The Naked Now, a direct sequel, DS9's Far Beyond the Stars, or Voyager's Faces, owe a debt to this one. It proved that exploring what's beneath the uniform can be as meaningful as any exploration of strange new worlds. Even modern Trek revisits this idea. Shows like Star Trek, Discovery, and Strange New Worlds continue the tradition of exploring character vulnerability, emotional conflict, and the price of command. But none of it would be possible without The Naked Time breaking that emotional barrier first. Conclusion: the power of breaking the mold. William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were pioneers not just because of their characters, but because of their performances. In The Naked Time, both actors were given the opportunity to go off script emotionally, to reveal who Kirk and Spock are when no one is Watsek.